Hello, folks. Today is October 26, 2021, and this is the Kubernetes Ingress NGINX sub-network meeting. So remember, this is a CNCF project. This is a community meeting, and we ask that you comply with the code of conduct, which is basically be excellent with each other. If there are any violations, they should be reported to the SIG chairs or the one running the meeting. So that's myself or Ricardo. With that, let me go ahead and start the screen share. Everybody see my screen just fine?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you. All right, gonna scroll down to today's topic. So we'll go ahead and we generally start with welcoming new members. So if there's anybody on the line, I know there is a lot of folks here today to discuss the CVE. So if you are interested in introducing yourself, how you're using the project and what you'd like to see discussed or worked on in the future for the project, go ahead and go off mute and give yourself an introduction. Not everybody speak at once.
I'll go. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Am I?
Go ahead.
So good morning, everyone. My name is Kadamini Tendulkar. I'm from India, and this is my very first community to join. I was exploring about the DevOps, and I landed up to the Kubernetes. I found the cloud native technology a little curious, so I ended in the Kubernetes community. From the technology, I am trained in front-end development, mean stack development, and little basic knowledge of machine learning using Python, and then Oracle Java certification.
Well, awesome. Welcome and thanks for joining today.
Thank you.
Hey, hi. So I'm Akash Chaudhary. So this is my first lecture, frankly speaking. Sorry, not first lecture. So this is my first day I joined the call. So I am from India and I have experience on Docker, how to make Docker files, little bit on Kubernetes also. So I have done the whole course from Udemy, Mumshad Muhammad's one. And yeah, and I want to contribute. And I also know Python, good level Python. So yes.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you, Akash. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
All right, I'll just jump in. I'm Kurt Hayes. I'm not a developer. We use NGINX extensively throughout our Kubernetes infrastructure, as well as on virtual machines, etc. Here to talk or hopefully talk about maybe a bug that I submitted, as well as the triage, which is related to the bug. So thank you all for your continued work. Love the product and think you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Well, thanks for that, Kurt, and we'll definitely make sure that we get to that conversation.
Hi, I'm Mary. I'm here with Kurt. We're on essentially sister teams. Just here to, because our use case for NGINX is exactly that multi-tenancy situation. Nice to meet everybody.
Nice to meet you, Mary. Thank you for joining us.
Hey everyone, my name is David Workingtile. I'm already on the list over there. I'm from, I work in a company. We're developing right now Kubescape. I don't know if some of you are familiar with that. We scan Kubernetes clusters for vulnerabilities, and the minute we saw this vulnerability, we went ahead and developed a control testing it. And it's very interesting to hear about this, more about this vulnerability.
That's very interesting, David. So thank you guys, your company, for developing that. That's something that's definitely going to be helpful for people to see if they're vulnerable to this one. So thank you. A couple more folks. If not, we can go ahead and get started. No? Okay. Awesome. Well, with that, I posted the link to our meeting notes into the Zoom chat, so you folks can see that. It should be linked into both of the Ingress channels. So if not, we try to keep track of everything that's happening, what we're working on through here. So, all right, with that, we're going to go ahead and skip over the issue triage to give a little bit more precedence to Ricardo and his presentation or discussion around the CVE that just came out recently, and hopefully work through and answer some of your questions that you have, some of the concerns and thoughts. With that, I know we don't have any slides, so Ricardo, you want to take it away?
Yeah. I would ask you just to allow me to share my screen so I can at least show in the code what's going on. And while I get this permission, I would like to thank you everybody for attending, and also feel free to join us on other meetings. We need people providing us some feedbacks, and as well contributing with us like in coding, documentation, and etc., and proposing security improvements as well. So this is a meeting project. This is a community project, so just feel free to join us. Okay, so just let me be sure that I'm opening the right screen and not something confidential from my company. I don't want to get fired. Yeah. Okay, so probably you can see. Probably you can see my my screen, right?
Yes.
Yep.
And okay, cool. So I will just try to explain to you what happens first, and then we can discuss about how to implement countermeasures for that. Okay. So probably you all know that in Ingress NGINX, we rely on actually three kind of softwares, right? So we have the Ingress Controller, which is basically written in Golang, and its function is actually to get the objects from the Kubernetes cluster and reconcile those objects into an NGINX configuration. We have the NGINX by itself, which is the data plane. That's the part that gets configured and receives all of the requests. And then we have another part of the code, which is written in a language called Lua, right? So we rely on NGINX into Lua for the dynamic reload stuff. So back in the past, for those that been using like Ingress NGINX since version 0.20, as I was, Ingress NGINX didn't have hot reloads. So when you create something new, when you add a new certificate, or when you just change some path into your Ingress object, the whole NGINX software needed to be reloaded, which was bad for scenarios like WebSockets and some other users with slow connections. So some folks from the community, like Elvin, Alejandro, and others, they have decided to implement some sort of hot reload mechanism based on Lua, right? So now we have not only the Golang program and the NGINX by itself, but NGINX calls a bunch of scripts in Lua, which are responsible for this hot reload, for adding some servers into the backend, and to somehow building the configuration, but not expecting reloads in NGINX, right? So if you come here to etc NGINX template, you are gonna see a bunch of directives called, this is the template that the Go file renders, and you're gonna see a bunch of things like by Lua, right? So every time we have this by Lua something, you are calling actually a program in Lua, which is gonna return something for NGINX, right? So you may have like a different certificate being returned, you may have a different balancer being returned. So it's pretty interesting. And I recommend you all, if you are curious about reading about OpenREST, which is the engine behind this work. So here, instead of getting hard-coded certificates in our file systems, we have a program that returns the certificate content for the vhost that's been called. And same thing happens for like balancers and other stuff. Okay, so what happens here is actually Lua is a dynamic language, so it's a scripting language. You can put whatever you want in Lua, like you can say okay, you can say hello world, you can say something whatever you want, and Lua is gonna return Lua is gonna return whatever you put on those screens, right? And this means that as the Lua directives, they are not restricted. Someone can, for example, add a custom snippet or some custom configuration part and call, for example, a Lua script, right? And this is the base of that CVE. So you can, for example, say, hey, when I call this location, I want this snippet that does a cat something and exposes any file in the file system from the NGINX container. And because we have the Ingress controller running there to get all of the ingresses and the certificates and etc. to reconcile that, our account, our service account for Ingress NGINX, it's pretty permissive inside the cluster. So you can, inside that container, you have mounted the service account, the token that you can query the Kubernetes cluster. And that specific service account can do a lot of stuff, including extracting certificates, extracting namespaces, and other stuffs. Right, so this is basically what happens into this vulnerability. So when we say actually about the multi-tenancy and the custom snippet, and being really clear with you folks, because we need some ideas as well. In my opinion, every Ingress controller, NGINX, HA proxy, Contour, whatever, they need to be made to operate both in a single tenancy and in a multi-tenancy, because sometimes you are just a cloud provider and you want to scale your Ingress for the amount of users that you have, and sometimes you have a specific user that want to pay for their own Ingress controller, right? So when you allow your users to write something arbitrary as the NGINX configuration, which is what happens when you allow the custom snippets, you are allowing them to actually execute any code in your NGINX in your NGINX daemon, not even on the controller, but on the daemon, right? So the controller doesn't sanitize those strings, and if you put something like in your snippet, like content Lua by Lua, and write a script that allows you to read the certificates, the secrets from Kubernetes, you are going to have those credentials. So the first approach, when we received this CVE by Mitch, which we are really thanks for reporting, for doing a responsible reporting and reporting to security at kubernetes.io. We started to discuss how we could add some sort of workaround for the cluster admins to disable that behavior and not impact on current using clusters. So we know that it's hard just to say, hey, now we don't allow custom snippets from users anymore, and users, legitimate users, they rely on that for other stuffs and not like running Lua scripts. And we discussed it about a lot and say, hey, okay, so we need at first, like for the 80% of the cases, to give a workaround for that. And that's what we gave into that CVE specifically. But we are still discussing some other approaches here, because we need to actually sanitize all of our users' inputs, not only on the custom snippets, but other directives, right? So someone may try to put some random stuff and like escape some specific like custom header directive or some annotation, some cookie affinity directive. So the discussion that we've been doing right now is actually if we can start sanitizing those inputs and saying, hey, if someone adds something like underscore by Lua, or if someone adds like some dangerous character like quotes or something like that, we are just going to drop that annotation, right? And say, hey, this annotation is not valid. We are not going to add it here, in a way that we are still allowing the cluster admins to add snippets and whatever without validation into the config map from NGINX. But your users is going to be, they're going to have some hard time actually trying to fix that, to add some malicious code. Does this solve all of the problems? No, I don't think so. In my opinion, security will be also someone trying to break and someone trying to fix, someone trying to break and someone trying to fix. But this is something that we've seen that we need to improve in our software, right? So we need to sanitize users' input. We need to make some proper string escapes, and maybe we've been also discussing about splitting the controller from the data plane from NGINX, which I thought was going to be easy, but it's really hard to do that. And I will open some thread on our Slack channel later, getting some ideas on how having Ingress controller in one container and that Ingress controller having all of the accounts mounted at, and just having NGINX on another container as a data plane, and just having the NGINX NGINX software and nothing else inside that. That's it. So we have right now a workaround that can be applied. We are ongoing on some string sanitization process, which may lead to some impact for some of you, maybe doing some valid usage of custom snippets and adding by Lua directives, or maybe using some specific escape character for some valid use case. And we need your feedback on that as well. One suggestion that was made by one of the developers, one of the maintainers, which is here, was that we should probably do that validation as well on admission webhook. But to be honest, and this is my own position, I don't think that everybody have admission webhook deployed, right?
A lot of people disable it.
Yeah, so we can't just rely and say, hey, I know that people, they have gatekeeper, or people, they have an admission controller deployed, because sometimes people, they just follow some tutorial on the internet and they just deploy and say, hey, okay, I will expose my blog or something like that, and they may end being vulnerable if they share their cluster with other folks, right? So let's say our plan is actually to start adding some validations, some sanitizations, and we need some feedbacks from the community as well. So please keep bringing the feedbacks. Just please do that in a responsible way. If you find some vulnerability or something like that, let us know on a private way, like sending to security@kubernetes.io, or reaching me or James in Slack. Because sometimes if you find a vulnerability and you expose that, you may be putting some other companies in danger before we have some time to fix that, right? So this is, let's say, this is our plan right now. So we want to improve all of the validations. We are going to disable a lot of directives from being valid values in custom snippets and location snippets. So if something breaks for you, and we recommend that you test before, let us know, because sometimes we need a better fix. We always can do better, but we need your feedback on that. So I will open. I have 10-15 more minutes before I need to jump to another meeting. I will be still there, but I guess as this is like the topic of this meeting today, I would like to ask people what questions you have, what suggestions you have, and what you want to discuss with me, James, Jintao, and the other maintainers. so we can actually take notes and think better about that for the next releases. Probably you all have figured out that we have sort of slowed down a bit all of the features since we have started to work on the V1 release. And this was because we figured out that we had a lot of bugs that we needed to fix before just adding new features. So we've been planning to add new features right now on the next release, but still we are gonna probably just take some time, fix all of the bugs, try to take a look into the security perspective, the template generation and other stuff, and then move forward. So bringing on all of the questions, folks, please, and suggestions as well. Thank you. I will stop sharing it.
I do have a quick question, if you don't mind. So
Yeah,
from what you just said, it seems like this is a priority for core contributors, right? This CV at hand.
CV is actually a priority for us. So to be honest, I have received it. This was on a Friday night, I guess, right, James?
Yeah, it was a late one.
Yeah, it was like Friday 11 p.m. here in Brazil, and I was saying, I won't say the bad word, but I shouted out a bad word here at my house and say, damn, and like I spent my Saturday working on that. So every CV is a priority for us because we are also users of that. So my company, for example, may use Ingress NGINX in some parts or not, right? But we need a plan, not for only a short path fix, because as you all have said, like disabling snippet may not be the best approach for all of the users. So we have discussed, hey, we need to fix that for at least the majority of people that may be exposed by that and they don't rely on these snippets for the users. And then we need to have like a better plan for medium and long term. And this is what we are actually seeking right now.
Yeah, okay, good to know. Because, for example, in our case, we do rely on the custom snippets, and it's simply not a solution to disable them, right?
Yeah.
So efforts are now in actually scanning what people are putting there, so we can prevent any malicious inserts potentially.
So the first thing that I would ask for you folks, but just offline, is that you provide for us the way that you use actually snippets, because this is going to help us guide how and what we are going to disable during this sanitization, right? So I think that allowing users to use any ByLua directive for the Open REST is really dangerous, because you are allowing your users to run any script in your NGINX, and this is how this vulnerability arrived. But someone may say, hey, I need that and I trust my users, so can you please leave some way, can you just leave that a way to enable that and put a directive like, hey, I really know what I am doing? And this is the feedback that we need, right? Because this is going to be the effort to develop. So I can just disable all of that, or I can say, hey, we need to add some bad words here and allow the admins to add the bad words here. Right?
Yeah, so sorry, for our use case, for example, more annotations that do stuff that we are currently putting as a custom snippets would help. I'll just give you a basic example is server tokens off, so you don't actually see the version of NGINX when you access any web page. They're just a basic example. So mono annotations that do one specific thing would be already a rating, right? Depending, of course, of what you want to do.
Okay. So folks, I have just written to you, I have a really bad memory. I am like the Dory from Seeking Nemo. So please add all of the suggestions in some document that I can read later, me, James, and others, because I am like really bad at memory, and putting them on chat here, I'm gonna probably lose all of them. And I don't want to lose them.
Sure.
I'll make sure that we take the notes from the Slack from this messaging, that it's also copied into the doc. But everyone should have access to the Ingress meeting notes. So if you want, just if you're not comfortable with talking right now, go ahead and just put the notes in there and then we can correlate them all.
Yeah.
I think it's going to have to be a multi-pronged approach, both from our perspective as maintainers of being able to disable this, but also putting in, just like anytime there's any kind of vulnerability, putting in alerts, something like Gatekeeper, and being able to alert when this does happen, even if it isn't caught. So if you're using older versions, you can at least mitigate this before you can do upgrades, because we know that upgrades take a while in any environment. So being able to be alerted and know that you're having this issue. So the things like from KubeScan and Gatekeeper. So we should also be adding on how to help remediate this issue while you're still running older versions.
Yeah. So folks, you are just suggesting some directives like location and hood, and I am really loving all of your feedback. So what I am going to do right now, I am going to put for you. I think that's okay, right, James? To put the PR that we are just working for the sanitization right now, and maybe I'm gonna open the PR, and based on that PR, you can just provide me some feedbacks about like bad words that you would add into that. So let me just send to you this. Just don't use that for the evil, please.
Kurt, I think to answer your question a little more directly is probably be looking at the NGINX logs and seeing, and the Ingress objects that are being deployed. So if you see folks deploying Ingress objects with custom Lewis snippets, then I would be inspecting those a lot more. So even at the CI/CD level, when deploying these or deploy times, you should probably be having people review what folks are deploying into the environments.
Well, I guess specifically my question is, you know, is there something I can search for in my logs? You know, like, you know, someone thought that, you know, if the token was in there, then we would see, you know, it attempted to being used, or, you know, what's
the path to the token. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because obviously, like many other people, we're a little, you know, we have some business functionality we're dependent upon for those snippets, so disabling it is a challenge. But if we have to shut this down, we're just going to have to do it. So.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm just reading the chat and checking if there are some other questions. So some folks are actually using the validation webhook. I like it, but it is actually enabled by default. But sometimes people, they don't, they may just disable that because they think that validation webhook adds some performance issues, and it does. We are actually taking a look into that as well. But validation webhooks takes all of the objects and tries to check if you have conflicts. And so if you have something like 600 or 700 Ingress objects, you may have some performance issues, and this is why sometimes people, they disable. And so Vishal asked if there are a full list of keywords that can be avoided. I've put my PR that I've been working right now, and I will keep updating on that. But maybe we may have, if you folks think that's possible, I would love to have somehow of documentation improvement as well. So hey, there is a way to protect your Ingress, which is using Gatekeeper, and like adding that as a tutorial in our documentation. It would be really amazing. And saying this is what we recommend to you to have like a high security validation at least. So please feel free. And I am not just bypassing that. That's just I don't have enough time to write that and add that on our documentations. I am really, really sorry about that, but I know that other folks that are on this meeting, they may receive that and most probably also review that. So I will do some review on that, James as well, Long as well. So, but we need some contributions on that. And okay, some suggestions about disabling root and location, and using headers for E3 open tracing. Okay, cool. All right. All right. So adding some headers as well. Maybe we should have some new. I'm gonna say probably I'm gonna have some regrets of that, because that's gonna be something that I will need to implement. But some directive that allows you to add some more headers, like hey, I want this header 1, header 2, or header 3 instead of relying on custom snippets, like a common header for all of the ingresses. But right now, I'm not thinking about that. Okay, and there is some case where location and PHP and namespace owner can set that. So I have no good suggestion for that, Purnima. And if it's the namespace owner that adds that, probably it would demand some more work, because we are already blocking location and also the open brackets and close brackets as some sort of approach, right? So probably we need to think better about that. Okay. Pippin asked me how this affects Kong. To be honest, I don't know. I am not aware of how Kong code base works. So I would probably go directly to them and ask, because I'm not even sure they use Ingress NGINX as a base for Kong, but they may have, I don't think so, but they may have this vulnerability if they have custom snippets as well into Kong implementation. Okay. Okay, Kurt, I need to check that. Fails to start up even if they have it in the last configuration annotation. Okay. All right. Yeah, probably we need to sync that offline. So if you can call me on, go ahead, James.
Ricardo, I'll make sure to add that in our notes. So we're talking about that, because that's definitely an issue.
I opened a bug on it too.
Oh, you did?
Okay,
That's the bug you were talking about, Curtis? What's the number on that?
I'll go find it and put it in the chat.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. So folks, I will keep here on this meeting, but I need to jump to another one. So I'll be on both of them, and I won't be paying attention to the rest of the meeting. For you that are joining us for today, we just saved some time to discuss about the CVE, but we have another things in the meeting, and those meetings usually we discuss also the roadmap of Ingress NGINX, some bugs that are stuck, and etc. So just feel free to keep here and listen, and maybe to contribute with us, because we need people contributing, and not just only with coding, but with documentation, with ideas, feedbacks, and helping other users as well. Okay, thank you all for attending today, and I'm gonna return the control to James. So go ahead, James.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Ricardo. As you said, you have any suggestions or any other issues, go ahead, please open up an issue and make sure to comment on that you think it's related to the CVE or the upgrade, and let us know either in the NGINX users or the NGINX dev channel, so we can track these and make sure that we're looking into these as much as possible. And with that, we're going to go ahead and go into one of the issues that are open. Actually, Brian, I was going to put you on the spot and ask if you've got any of the NGINX engineers on, because we wanted to talk about this app root redirect with the HTTPS issue. I did a little bit of research. I know Ricardo's asked, but wanted to see if we could have that conversation and work through that issue.
I don't have anybody specifically on the call with me today.
Okay.
If we need to get somebody, then what issue is this? 6340.
So it looks like what we were doing the redirect properly. So it was the HTTPS upgrade and a redirect, and we were doing the redirect before we do the SSL upgrade. And so now someone's opened an issue with it. And it looks like it's been open for a little while, and we're trying to ascertain what we should be doing from that respect.
Oh, this was
I
the
can
three,
talk
this
about
was
that
the
as well.
3-level chain issue. Okay.
Yeah, the 3-level chain issue. So if they have a redirect and an SSL redirect or a SSL upgrade. So we're doing the app redirect before we do the SSL upgrade. And from what I'm seeing and what I'm reading, we should be doing it, the SSL upgrade, and then the redirect. And Ricardo's laughing.
Good. Yeah, he was just saying he's got some details on this.
It looks like there are some issues with Lua, with how we're handling it in the Lua code. Okay, so we can follow up and probably do this on a separate session then. When we can get Ricardo's attention, maybe coordinate something with you,
Yeah.
Brian, and from your team.
I'm back. Sorry, I have you muted here, and I have you muted on the other meeting, and then someone asked me like, okay, do you want to talk about that? And I say, no, sorry, I am on another meeting, and yeah, like with 40 people, and anyway, I will try to be really
Which
fast
is
on
why
this.
we tend not to do things like that, Ricardo. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
We can do a separate one offline where we can have this discussion and probably get some help from the Nginx team as well.
Yeah, but this is like something I want some of Jintao and Elvin view. What happens here, I try to explain really fast here, is that we have the Lua block, and we have the return block, and we have the app root block, and they bypass one or the other, right? So on the past, the directives, they were read by the order they were written, but as soon as that was migrated to Lua, some parts were migrated to Lua. We don't have that ordering control anymore. So what I was questioning Elvin and Jintao is what's the impact of migrating that block of the code to Lua, or at least checking why we use that as Lua or something like that.
Okay, so this was a change that we had just pushed out to the Lua code, and so the user can't control it anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't think Gentile's on because I know it's a little late there for him. And we haven't heard back from Alvin. So, okay, I'll go ahead and move on. We can just work through the triaging, but I don't see any.
Now I'm going to the other meeting, and I will keep you on mute, okay?
Okay, I don't see any other maintainers, but we can work through the triaging as best as possible. So let's go ahead and pull up. We've got 41. Okay, so we'll run through these and we'll see. I haven't had a chance to read these. This one's actually relatively new because we're sorting from the top. Path matching, NGINX order first order. If there are any issues or anything that specifically that folks want, make sure that we bring up that are on the call, go ahead and drop those and we can pull those up as well. As of right now, we're just working through the issue triaging. So one of the things that we've worked to help make things a little bit more clear on it is how we are looking at issues, how we're going to try to work and triage them and get them prioritized. So if you haven't seen this, we've been working through the triage documentation. So just looking at issues that have needs triage on there. So I'm just going to walk through those. But unless there's any issues that you're on the call and you want to talk about, just let us know. See Long's on the call. Long, is there anything that we need to prioritize?
Hi, yeah. So there's one about the course. I don't know if we concluded on that, but I think even there, Ricardo has been commenting, but that seems like a lot of updates are coming in, but it's not, we're not concluding on that.
On which one?
I'll give you the number. Just search for course.
Oh, the cores. Oh, yeah, the cores one. I did not get a chance to look at that because I was investigating the SSL redirect one. I know which one you're talking about.
And it also looks like there are two of them, not just one. So I didn't review what if they are the same, if it is the same issue they're talking about, or is it two different issues they're talking about.
Is it this one? The cores allow origin, multi-origin support?
Yeah. So the last comment I read on this was that one user is saying it's working. The PR, the new PR commits are as per the spec, and the other user is probably hinting that not exactly as per spec. So I think there's some confusion there. So I think Ricardo also has been commenting here, but this needs to conclude, because I think this is important in the sense that there is no very clear authoritative answer or comment on whether or not the changes being suggested are secure or not secure.
Because this one's got related to it. Yeah. So this is the PR for it. Because I know there's a PR open for one of these, and I can't remember which one it is.
I think it's available in a search, should be easy. The whole problem, I think the whole problem I am seeing is that there is no authoritative comment on the commits.
Whether we should allow it.
Yeah, and that's once we know that, I think we can deal with it. But there is no authoritative comment there. I think Brian, if you have any thoughts on this, it would help a lot.
So they're asking, so I mean, even just from this one, the Mozilla docs say you should only return one, but they're asking for in NGINX to allow multiple.
Yeah, so the contention basically I think he's saying is that he'll present two or multiple domains, but that's where the gray area is. Actually, CORS simply means you can authorize only one. You should the controller should only return allow cross traffic for only one. But I think the user has a use case where he says his application actually asks for more than one and returns, and the commits he's making is saying, okay, he's going to change the controller in such a way that he can query, make a request. Multiple domains can ask for it, but then only the valid one will be returned. But that's where the confusion is. I mean, I think he knows what he's talking about. I'm not a developer. I don't know what how to. But my assessment right now is there is no authoritative comment coming on this.
I don't know if we should be allowing or if we should be enabling breaking features off of a standard. Oh, Brian, right. What do you think?
Yeah, I know.
I'm sure you get requests like that all the time, I'm assuming.
Yeah, this is something we're looking at ourselves with our own project right now. So there are legitimate cases where customers have multiple domains, right? I mean, a lot of this comes in with legitimate ad serving cases and whatnot. Traditionally, historically, we've kind of taken the aspect that the customer can dictate the domain. And that's kind of in their control. So they have to set up the safety net that way, or domain and path. But as far as what the project wants to reinforce, that's usually a different situation that we run into. But we usually follow. What we generally do is we'll implement the standard first, and then we'll get into the cases of where that deviates.
Gotcha. Well, I think they're definitely, if we look at the other two issues, I think one had like 47 thumbs up in the other one. So it's definitely is an ask of the community. So, okay.
No, again, I've just to comment on that part. It's not, we haven't triaged enough to know if it is just this one user who's been making these requests and commits, or is it a lot of users who require this functionality? We don't know that yet.
Well, I would say if we're just trying to gauge the community, really the only way that we have that gauge is thumbs up on open issues, and this one has 72 requests. So I have no other way for us to gauge interest in a feature request other than that. So I would say that they're definitely asking for it.
Okay. I
That's-
didn't know them. Yeah. So
Yeah,
you-
it kind of comes to where customers are with implementations right now and how far they're kind of shifting what they would normally do at the edge, kind of left and trying to shift that into Ingress is generally what we're getting into here. And that's where the pattern's coming from, is most customers would implement something like this as the edge for their safety net. Now a lot of people are trying to shift that, I guess you could say, farther right into their topology and doing it at the Ingress level instead of doing it at some other front end level. Customers with ad servers are usually where we really fall into this situation really quickly.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Oh, hey, Long. That's a little loud. There you go. Sorry about that, Long. That was a little loud. Okay. Well, I know Ricardo's busy, and I know he's got questions for us. Wants to talk that, so I'll make sure that we'll just follow up on a separate call with Ricardo so we can have its full focus. Really, I guess from an issue triage perspective, you guys probably don't want to sit and watch us just record and triage the rest of the issues. So I'm going to go ahead and collect all of the notes from the chat, make sure that they're in the Ingress meeting notes. And of course, if you have any issues with the disabling snippets, or if there are snippets that any other suggestions from the snippet CVE, just let us know, either in the channels or individually. And of course, if you think that you've been exploited by the vulnerability, please let security teams know. With that, I don't think I have anything else for us to discuss, so we can go ahead and break, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.